deep in the furnace of a dying star. Eons of fusion have created iron, and as the nuclear furnace is cooled, a sudden and violent explosion spread the iron across the cosmos. Over the next few billion years, these heavier elements accreted into this place that we call the Earth. Time passes, and humans discover this iron deep in the Earth and discover its mystical properties. They discover ways of forging this iron and create one of mankind's greatest inventions, the truck stop knife. This is where the story of iron ends, and my story begins. This is JJJinks Truck Stop Knives! JJJinks Truck Stop Knives. I'm here today. It's a good start. I'm here today to tell you about my thoughts on Gerber knives. Now, Gerber is a brand that make camping outdoor knives generally, and I first heard of them about 5 years ago when I was about to embark on a long camping trip, and I thought maybe I should get a knife for that. And this was way before I knew anything about knives, so I just went on to some forums on the internet, just kind of Googled what are some good knives for camping, and I read what people were saying, and a lot of people said get a Gerber. You can get them at a lot of different stores, outdoor stores, Dick's Sporting Goods and whatnot, Cabela's, and they were generally well spoken of. People thought, they're durable, they're good for the price. So I always kind of thought Gerber was a really good brand. In the years since then, I kind of see those knives that they make pop up here and there. I'm just going to show you right now. This one, it's pretty popular, and it's called a paraframe knife. More on that in just a moment. So I go to Target a lot. There's a Super Target. It's in between where I work and where I live, and so I stop there if I want to pick up some groceries or something, some milk, coffee, whatever. And I always try to swing by the camping section where they have like sleeping bags and canteens and flashlights and stuff like that. And they have a small collection of knives. And I've noticed over the past few years that they've sort of been changing and kind of downsizing their knife collection, or at least what they're selling. They're really down to just a couple of brands. They sell Victorinox and they sell Gerber. And every time I walk by, I'm tempted to get them, but they're kind of expensive. And I'm like, if I'm going to spend money on a knife, I don't think I would want to get a Gerber. But something happened when I walked by and they're like, this knife is now on sale, 30% off. And I'm like, well, now I'm tempted. For 30% off, maybe I would. And then like 3, 4, whatever days later I go and there's even fewer of them, and they've been marked down 50%. And at that point, I would buy it. So I happen to be walking through today, and not one, but 2 of these were on sale for 50% off. Now this one's got 2 stickers on it. The first one was the 30% off price. This was the last one in the stack, and this was the last one in its stack. So I was like, this is my only chance to get these at 50% off retail. I mean, I could probably find them online for a lot cheaper, but who's got the time when I can just have them right now to do this video? So this mini paraframe knife, I call it the mini because there is a larger version, which Target used to carry, but I don't see it there anymore, at least not the one that I go to. It might be different in other Targets. So out of the box, of course, you get the little knife condom. It's kind of teenier than I imagined. It's pretty stiff. That might need a loosening of the pivot, maybe some oiling. But just kind of looking around, this is the first time I took it out of the package. it's nothing too impressive. You don't get a stud, you have to use the nick, and I don't like that. The grind on the blade doesn't look that healthy. And it's riding on Teflon spacers, which is usually something that people ascribe to a cheap knife. But gosh, these are everywhere. I see them all the time. This and its bigger brother variants. If you go on, when I get really bored, I go onto eBay, and you can find people sell huge lots of really banged up, dirty, crappy pocket knives that people are finding probably out metal detecting in a river somewhere. And you can look in this big pile of knives and kind of pick out ones that you recognize here and there. A couple that I see all the time are this one, the $1 Ozark Trail pocket knife, and it's like $7, $8, or $9, whatever they sell it for nowadays, older brother variant. You see a ton of these. This is the Dollar Tree knife, which is a heck of a lot crappier than the Walmart one. It's easily recognizable by the eagle, the cross hatching, and the sort of serrated, snarling looking blade. It's just a really popular blade shape, but I've never seen this blade shape in an expensive or nice knife. The clip is even just a piece of plastic hanging off of it. I see them in these piles all the time, along with generic variants, I guess copies, clones of the Buck 110, your classic Buck knife, but a lot shittier, or the Schrade variant, the old timer. And it's just, you'll see knives that look like these, but they're not these. These are a little bit nicer, they're a little bit more expensive. They come in leather sheaths, so whatever the ones they're selling in their giant pile, it ain't these. But anyway, just wanted to point out the fact that I see tons of these and tons of clones of these, and tons of these. So it's like, what is it doing mingling with those really cheap, shitty knives? Well, I think it's just because it's popular. Gerber is a popular brand. It has been for a long time. And in some ways, it's become even more popular because of the last knife that I'm going to be talking about. Now, this package comes with a couple of other things in it. One of them is this little orange package, which I think is a survival guide that's all folded up, or maybe it's a warranty, could be care instructions. Let's see. Nope, it's just precautions in like 5 different languages, including, well, that's interesting. They don't go by language, they go by country. Canada, French, Mexico, which is Spanish, Germany. What else they got here? Spain. So they have Spain Spanish and Mexican Spanish. And then they have France French and Canadian French. Okay, that's kind of neat. They put USA and UK in the same box. And I believe, oh my god, there's more. We've got oh. Well, that's weird. It's just the same thing twice on both sides. Alright, whatever. And it also comes with this little multi-tool, which they call the Shard. And another thing I spotted on the package, I don't know why, it says hashtag hello trouble. I don't know what that's about. Now, they say that there are 7 tools on this thing. I looked at it, and I only counted a few. I spotted down here, there is a Phillips head screwdriver head. I guess that's a bottle opener, so that's 2. And I've spotted this, and that they're probably going to call that a flathead screwdriver, so that's 3. And then this looks like some kind of a pry bar, so that's 4. I couldn't place the other 3. So you look at the back of the package, and it tells you, well, it's counting this other little flat piece as a smaller screwdriver. Fine, that's 5. Number 6, it says you can use this part to cut wire, so now you have a wire cutter. Yeah, okay, fine. And then they're counting this hole as a function. it's a lanyard hole, apparently. But, you know what? It's the same game that you see with all these other, like, little pocket one-piece tools. So, it says on it, a Gerber shard. And, I don't know, I feel like this... The material for both of these... I don't know. It's like brushed, not brushed. I don't know, matte aluminum, not aluminum. I'm sorry. I think it is steel. But, well, I guess I can't really judge unless I were to do some kind of a hardness test or see how it keeps an edge. So, whatever I was thinking, I might just keep it to myself. It just feels cheap, and that's not really fair to the blade. Now, interestingly, this is a frame lock. You got the notch cut out here for the tension. I don't think that it has a detent, though. Well, maybe it does. I hear it a little bit. No, it's hard to tell. Okay, I think it does have a detent because I do see a little notch cut out in the blade that you can barely see in there, but oh, that's fine. So, by the way, I don't know why they call it the paraframe. This is a skeletonized frame, where skeletonizing means basically you just cut out hunks of metal in order to reduce weight. I don't know where the para comes from. There's a lot of things named para. You've got the paracord, which is short for parachute cord. There are paratroopers, which is short for parachute troopers. And then you got paraframe. Parachute frame? I don't know. I think what they're trying to go for is para is a prefix that just kind of gets lumped in with anything tactical these days. So I guess maybe that's what they're going with. So now I'm going to open up this bigger one, which they call the skeleton frame. Okay. In case you're curious about the prices, the shard and the mini paraframe I got for $4.98 on clearance. This one was $9.98, marked down from about $20. And I can see I got the same orange scroll inside. Little knife condom again. Now, like I said, I've seen the larger version of the para frames. It gives you some generic stuff on the knife. Lanyard hole, pocket clip, frame lock safety function. So, another frame lock. I've got a feeling this is pretty much the same thing as the larger para frame, but just with a different handle or something. Drop point blade, a fine edge. Dual thumb studs. Okay. No hashtag anything on this thing, but there is a picture of a leaf. Or maybe that's a quill. Bare bones design for light carry. I don't understand. So, looking at this thing, one thing I could appreciate right off the bat is that the lanyard hole's got basically this like metal tube going through it. I got a couple of knives like that, and I don't ever use the paracord hole for anything, but I can appreciate the fact that they at least did something with it that makes it kind of look nice. I can see that I guess it is indeed skeletonized. They've got these slots cut out, and well, oh, that's a stiff. These things have to be loosened up or something. Or maybe they're meant. Wow. That barely came out. Maybe they're just meant to open with much difficulty. Wow. I'm not impressed, I gotta say, but you know what? If the blade performs, then maybe maybe it is worth it. Plus, these are more modern blades that they've come out with. I'm sure maybe they were better in the past, and or maybe the models that I chose, which are the ones that are distributed by Target, are not the ones that people were talking about online. You usually don't see very often a pivot screw that's a flathead, although that is convenient because I could open it and, well, loosen it or tighten it with the shard. Yeah, this guy's got a hex screw for the pivot, but anyway. And the screws holding the frame together are kind of a mix of no, they're not a mix. They are flathead, but they also have like holes in the middle. I don't know what that's about, but it just takes a lot of force to get this thing open and closed. But what made me want to buy these and review them in the very, very, very first place, besides the fact that they were half off, was because of another knife that I bought from Target by Gerber that they sold off. They got rid of all of them. I bought it probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and that is this knife. Now, if anybody is familiar with this knife, you either just rolled your eyes or you said, "Oh yeah, I was waiting for that." This Gerber knife is, well, obviously it's a lot bigger. It's a fixed blade, and instead of GB for Gerber, it says BG for Bear Grylls. That's right, this is a celebrity endorsed survival knife, and there you can see the Bear signature, and on the front as well. So when this knife came out, I saw it at the Target. It was $50, and I said, I kind of like it, but I'm not paying that much for it. But I'll watch videos about it online, and people were trashing this thing. They were like, "Oh, it sucks, it breaks, it's poorly constructed." Every bad thing you could say about a knife, they were saying about this thing. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought Gerber was good. I thought they made good survival knives. Maybe it's just hatred for celebrity endorsements. And I've seen some videos where people will review this knife, and they'll pull it out, and they'll look at it, and they'll slice, and they'll cut and stab and do whatever, and it does everything. And then they say, yeah, it sucks. Like, but it just did everything. Anyway, let me walk you through the anatomy of this thing. Now, they make this one with serrated serrations. They do make a variant where there are no serrations. I did not have the option. I probably would have picked no serrations, although, to be realistic, it might actually be good to have these out in the wild, depending on what you need the knife for. If you need to saw something, these might be good. I don't know. On the spine of the blade, you'll see that there's this little raw steel part, and that's so that you can use the fire striker, which is built into the sheath, and you pull it out like that. So it's a little ferro rod that you strike with the back of the knife. You don't ever use the blade. I see people doing that all the time on YouTube. They're like, "Oh, cool, it comes with a ferro rod. Shring, shring, shring." You just ruined your knife. You want to use the 90-degree corner of the back of your blade for that. And they conveniently provide you with a roughened one. I've seen people modify knives to create this rough spot. So it's a smart knife so far. Now, a lot of people complain because it's not full tang. You can see these holes that are going kind of right through it. But you can use these holes to lash this thing and make it into a spear. So if you need to fight the predator in the jungle, you can do that. Now, it still might be full tang. I'm actually not sure. I've kind of looked through these holes. I'm like, it sort of looks like they're drilled through steel, but I just don't know. I'd have to take the whole thing apart, and I don't want to do that. On the bottom is a little meat tenderizer masher thing, so you can use this to hammer down stuff. I'm kind of liking it so far. There's a lot of features. Now, the sheath itself also has a lot going on. First of all, it's actually a really good sheath. When you go to put the blade inside, It just has this tension lock that holds it really firmly into place, but to be even more secure, you got the Velcro at the top. A couple more features are, let me take the knife out so I don't hurt myself. You can also undo the Velcro that Bear Grylls signed, flip the whole thing open, and you've got a sharpening stone right underneath. How cool is that? You can even undo this Velcro piece and just take the plastic thing completely off if you just want to, I don't know, carry it around in its sheath, which is made out of a very grippy, rubbery plastic. What else does this thing have? Well, on the back, you have this little guide. Let me show it to you right side up. That it's like a quick go-to guide for hand signals and different ways to signal for help. Okay, yes, need help, pick us up. No, all is well. Need mechanical help. Have radio. Needs medical assistance. Do not attempt to land. Can proceed shortly. And use drop message. And then there's a bunch of other things about like symbols to make on the ground. Alpine rescue signals. This is great. I love how it's on here. And this is not paper. This is like really stretchy, good plastic. And hidden inside of this actually makes a little pocket for a, you can get it out, priority survival guide. Well, this knife's just full of surprises. So when you open this thing up, here's what it's got. It shows you, I'll probably never be able to fold it again. Oh boy. It's neat. It's a neat item, but you can only do it once. Look at all this stuff. It tells you how to make different knots for everything from like making shelter to snaring traps. A few different ideas for making a fire. A few different ideas for making a shelter. And then there's all this information about different things to expect and different strategies and like why you want to make your shelter this way or that way to keep yourself dry, keep yourself from the cold. There's even this a snow pit for if you're like in the Alpine region, I guess. On the other side, they have different ways of signaling for rescue using mirrors, signal fires. Here's how you line up a shiny object between a sun and a rescue chopper. Different ways to collect water from rain or dew. Food. Some tips for like scavenging, alternate options like rivers and fishing. And then there's also like navigation. Different ways that you can use the sun to show you directions, making a makeshift compass. I mean, this is great. And it's just very neatly a part of the Bear Grylls survival knife that I got for like $20-something. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it was a really good deal because I kind of like everything on it. It's just a single unit that's got pretty much everything you need. I guess it could use one of those little capsules in the handle with the fishing line, right? Oh yeah. And then this little thing at the other end of the fire stick is a whistle. And it is actually very, very loud. I don't want to do it right now because it's late and I don't want to wake people up. So I've been wanting to talk about this knife for a while. It gets a lot of hate. People hate this knife. I think it's pretty good. Now, to be fair, I did see a couple of people who review this knife who would take knife reviewing very seriously. And they said, you know, my first glance at this knife, it's not my first choice, but I'll give it a whirl. And then they come back a month or two later and the knife, you know, looks a little bit beat up. It's got some scratches on it and you can tell they've been using it. And every single one of those reviewers came back and said, this knife is good. It's a Gerber. What do you expect? And I said, that's what I thought. But as soon as you put someone's name on it, They take the piss. No pun intended. This has been JJJinks. Truck Stop Knives.